So many founders that I know will just run around and pitch to like every investor, and it kills me. I'm like they'll be at 3686 being like, who do I need to talk to? And it's like, no. You need to understand every one of these
it's a game.
Investors has a thesis, though. They have an investment thesis, so they're just trying to like throw darts at a dartboard.
Yeah.
Which you gotta just, honestly, they're just throwing darts, and they need the dartboard of like, here's actually investors who are in your space or in your kind of sweet spot of stage.
Right.
And so I think this podcast has been helpful, like pinpointing, because someone will tell me like, oh, can I get an intro to like so-and-so who you talk to? And I'm like, listen to the podcast first, and then you understand like what they invest in, like what they do, and is that really in alignment with your company?
Why, and like how to get in touch, and you know, like the best way to approach different things. You know, we had someone on who runs an angel group network, and he was talking about like the way that you go and pitch a company. Like, are you pitching a sales pitch? Or are you pitching investors to raise money? I mean, there's like two sides of it. So there's a lot of different ways, but what?
Nothing.
I'm
just listening.
Well, let's dig in. Let's do this thing.
Okay, we'll start.
No, we've already started. I'm keeping all of this in.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the cap table. Anyways, Cam, so you grew up. You're Tennessee born and bred. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Texas.
Okay, never mind.
But I lived there for like 9 months.
Okay.
So, and we moved to, my dad's is a doctor, and he started a practice in Knoxville, and so we moved to Knoxville when I was like, really young.
What type of doctor?
He's a fertility surgeon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
wow.
Helps folks have kids. He's brilliant guy. And kind of a doctor. Both of his brothers were doctors, and
did he want you to become a doctor?
I don't think he ever like.
You don't give me doctor energy at all.
Yeah. If you met my brothers and me, you'd be like, and if you knew my parents, you'd be like, where did you guys come from? Because we're pretty. So no, my parents never really tried to push us in any direction. I think the one thing my dad really gave me was, he taught us how to think for ourselves, like really at a really young age. Like, you should have opinions on things. You should think differently, et cetera. And so he's a doctor, but he's also he's an inventor at night. Like his day job is like, he's a doctor, but like what really makes him come alive, he gets home every night and he sits on the same couch cushion in the living room and he reads for like 7 hours straight on the internet.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's just a voracious.
About what?
Oh my God! I mean, he
anything and everything.
Literally, yes. Just anywhere the internet takes him, he just craves information. And I didn't think that I got that from him, but I'm now like realizing like Twitter is the worst thing for me. Like it is like my drug. Like I cannot like I'm realizing the older that I get, like I'm reverting to this, like, I just want to take in so much information.
Yeah.
But
it's good and bad. It's like consuming all that content and learning always is good, but then it's like everyone resorts to it now.
Yeah, right.
It's just a lot.
No, it's terrible. I mean, I've tried like every. I bought one of those RO boxes, to put your phone in when you get home. And it tracks how long your phone's in the box. And I just downloaded another app, like you open Twitter and you have to wait 12 seconds before it'll actually open.
For real?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, I'm a crack addict. I know I have a problem, though.
Yeah.
I have that with TikTok.
Yeah.
Garrett's the opposite of like, you hate consuming information. You love just exclusively doing.
This is just about books, isn't it?
Garrett doesn't like to read.
It's not that I don't like to read. I just feel like there's so many resources out there now that like, well, there are a lot of books, and this is going to be very controversial for a lot of listeners.
I don't know if you want to put this on the podcast.
No, but I feel like there's now like. if I'm, and this is like a Gary V type of thing, like he's like, I don't got time to read. He's like, I'm not, I can go in on YouTube.
That's a great Gary V impersonation.
Did you think it was him?
Yeah.
But they can, I don't know, you can just consume so much stuff a lot quicker now.
Yeah.
In a way to where, while I do like reading, it's a different world that we're in now.
Yeah, totally.
So,
But Cam, so you think you maybe got your entrepreneurial fix perhaps from your dad, or when did you maybe identify that?
Yeah, well, the thing that I like needed to have at a really young age was like freedom. That was the thing that, as far back as I could remember, like I went to a Catholic school growing up, and I remember being on this like field trip where I was, in like, long pants and like button down and a tie, and we were on a field trip at this like beach. It was like a camp on the beach, Camp Seagull. And we're like walking from breakfast to our first like, class of the day or whatever it was. And we're on this boardwalk and we're in this marsh. And I'm like looking at these tidal pools. And I'm like, can I cuss on this podcast, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Wait, it says explicit.
I don't have to right now. I just, yeah. But I was looking at these tidal pools and I was like, and I'm walking in a single file line. And I'm like, all I want to be doing right now is like digging into these tidal pools and like looking at these crabs and like, I was really young. And I was like, I just don't understand why I have to learn what they want me to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many things that I want to learn that I would, and, so I've always kind of craved like time independence and the ability to like, I just want to have the freedom to be interested and do the things that I'm interested in. And so my first job out of college, like I graduated right in the middle of the financial crisis and nobody was hiring, and I ended up taking a job. I was literally like one step above a teller at a bank branch in a mall parking lot.
In Chattanooga?
No, this was in Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
And I just wanted to get a job. I just wanted to get into the real world, after college and just get going. I knew that it wasn't what I wanted to do forever. But that job scared the dog shit out of me. It was like I could see these people that were like 10 years older than me who had like been consumed by this massive corporation, and they're just kind of living for their 2%, 5% increases in salary and like their 10 days of PTO. And I'm just like, I need to get out of here. Like, wearing a full suit and tie, like on the floor, I was like repinning people's debit cards. And so that scared the shit out of me. And it ultimately pushed me to realize like, okay, if I want time independence and if I want freedom to be able to do what I want to do, I have to get out of this corporate structure and I have to kind of create my own destiny. And that meant starting a company. And I realized that kind of early on. So I started thinking immediately like, okay, I need to start a company. And that's when I realized it. But it was through like pain that pushed me in that direction.
And then what was it? Was bellhops your first company, or did you start one before that?
No, that was our first company.
And then how did you get that idea? I mean,
well, we started meeting. My co-founder and I started meeting.
How did you meet your co-founder?
He was a fraternity brother in college.
Okay,
cool.
Just one of my best buddies, and I think we both kind of shared that, like, okay, we need to take this really seriously. And so we started meeting like every couple of weeks just to figure out, try to figure out an idea to start a company on. And we did that for a couple of years. And finally, we just got frustrated because we weren't coming up with anything. We're like, okay, we're going to this hunting camp this weekend and we're going to start a company. We're going to figure out something. We're going to buy the business license. We're going to go, we're going to do it. We're going to start it this weekend. And we did. So the freshest problem on our mind that we figured that we could solve was, it was a huge pain in the ass for parents to move their kids into college. And we're like, oh, we can fix that. There's a bunch of athletic broke college students that we can, empower, create a workforce with, the iPhone. That was like kind of this new thing where it's like, okay, we can manage a workforce through that because all these kids have that in their pocket. And that's how it all started. And so bellhops started as like a way for college kids to move. And we really weren't movers. We were like more like bellhops because we were just taking like, bags up to
stuff up for people.
Yeah, it wasn't like full on house moving. So that's where the name came from. And it just like anything else, it just snowballed. It was like parents started asking us to help them move, and then they didn't want to get U-Hauls, and then they wanted us to provide the truck, and then they wanted long distance and corporate relocation and delivery and all the other stuff.
How long were you and your co-founder moving stuff yourself before you
Not long. I mean, it was like the first 3 days of bellhops with the original company was called the Dorm Movers.
Okay.
And we were like, so it was us and our wives, and we ran the whole thing on like clipboards and walkie-talkies. We had to hire 90 college students to move in 400 and something college kids in 3 days. And that was like the first year that we started.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was like super spiky, there's no way you could build a business around that. But we thought we could, we were just naive. And, but yeah, I mean, it was just the most low tech, thing you could imagine. And that was when we realized, okay, we need to build some tech around this so we can manage the workforce and build a big company out of it.
Dang. And when was it then where you're like, all right, like we're going to go build this company. We got to go raise money.
It was pretty, my co-founder and I were not technical. Mm-hmm. And so we knew in order to create a workforce management platform, we needed to build technology. And so it was it was apparent, that we needed to raise some capital in order to hire our first engineers. And so we started having conversations, and then ultimately Lamppost Group in Chattanooga wrote our first check. And
nice.
Part of Lamppost deal was if they wrote you a check, you had to move to Chattanooga and work out of their floor in the Lovemans building, and alongside a bunch of other founders that were, had raised capital and were building. And that ended up just being the most insane experience it changed my life in every way.
Wait, why so?
It was just this super crazy time period. It was like a 4-year time period where the founders, who are now my partners in Brickyard, the founders of Lamppost, had started this big trucking company. And it was just kicking off an enormous amount of cash, and they didn't know what to do with it. So they started Lamppost, which they were going to reinvest the cash in high growth companies. And basically over the course of 4 years, they made 10 investments, and 7 of those companies out of the 10, who we all worked together in the same floor, 7 of those companies are north of $100 million valuation businesses now.
Dang.
One of them's about to break $1 billion. I mean, it was just this wild hit rate that happened.
All in Chattanooga. I had no idea.
All on the same floor.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all like brothers and sisters and working our fingers to the bone. I mean, it was like the most highly competitive environment in a good way. Like, we loved each other. We cared about each other. We knew how hard everybody was working, but nobody was going to be the team that lost. There was this really
competitive,
familial competition. Yeah. And that became, the reason that we're doing what we're doing at Brickyard now is like what happened there was just magic.
Yeah.
Like the return, that's going to be like a 50x return fund. And something just was wildly crazy, during that time. And so Brickyard is like Lamppost on steroids. So we've raised, we've put a lot more resources into it and bought a new building. And
how was the transition from, were you in Birmingham when you started Bellhops and then you had to move to Chattanooga, or?
Yeah, well, yeah. So this is 2012. I basically, we went up to Chattanooga and had our, third or fourth meeting with Lamppost, and they're like, okay, we're ready to write a big check into your company, which it was $600K.
That's what I was wondering, how much it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty decent sized first check, though,
I mean, for back then, it was great.
Especially.
Yeah. And they were like, but you've got to pick up and move here. That's part of the deal. And we were like, done. Like, in the meeting, we hadn't even talked to our wives.
No way.
Oh yeah, we were in the doghouse big time, because we went back to Birmingham. We're like, okay, we've got the biggest opportunity of our lives.
Yeah.
We're moving to Chattanooga. And they were like, what?
Dang.
Like my wife's an interior designer, massively talented interior designer. She just started a firm in Birmingham. And that almost broke me. But we got through it. And she ended up opening another location in Chattanooga, and the rest is kind of history.
Dang, man, that's crazy. And so that makes a lot of sense now that Brickyard is the way that Brickyard is because of that. Yeah.
What's like your obviously we've been in this era now where it's been great because capital can flow to more places because investors are more comfortable with people working remotely.
Yeah.
But you've taken kind of like a totally opposite, maybe more like contrarian approach of being like, actually no, like show up, I want to see you and be near you. Can you like dive more into why you think that works?
Yeah, well, I mean, we experienced it ourselves in
Yeah.
those, in the lamppost days. 2012 to 2015 were just this magic time where like my learning curve just went vertical. It was like I was around super ambitious people that were all kind of on this exponential track of like everybody is putting it all on the line, like leaving it all in the field. I mean, 15, 18-hour work days for 3, 4, 5 years straight. And there was just something that happened then that was like, okay, that worked. And not only did it work, it was like the most fulfilling experience that I've ever had in my life. And I've never felt closer to other people. It felt like, I draw a lot of comparisons to between startups and like war. And I've not served our country, but like there are so many parallels between like what it takes to get a company off the ground and like just being in the trenches, and like it is so painful and there's so much uncertainty that's happening, and it's like these like radically high highs followed by like 100 times more low lows.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just super volatile time period where everybody is sacrificing big for like a higher purpose. And it's those experiences, like, you talk to soldiers, like nobody could possibly understand what it's like to be at war other than like somebody who's actually done it, And I feel the exact same way about startups. It's like you can't possibly understand what it's like to be a founder unless you've raised venture capital, you've taken on that like massive burden and responsibility, and you've put yourself in an environment where 500-600% growth is like the baseline, you know, which stretches everybody on your team. It stretches you. It's you're up in the middle of the night having panic attacks, because you're just sure that it's just not going to work, and the next day one thing happens and you think you're just, the whole world is it's just the wildest experience. And so anyway, being around other founders is what allows you to get through those those tough times. And so I guess to just dive into Brickyard, we believe that if you want to find product market fit, you do that by working hard. If you want to scale a company, you do that by working smart. But you cannot find product market fit by working smart. And if you try, it's just, you're never going to find it.
Can you give me an example to sort of understand that a bit more?
Yep. So the path to product market fit never goes how you think it's going to go. Every pre-seed company that's ever been funded, looks almost entirely different a year after it's funded.
Yeah.
Right. It's because the founders see some glimmer of a signal, and it's enough to build a narrative around and raise capital for it. But the way that how you actually find your path to real product market fit is almost never like what you saw in the beginning. It's like some super nuanced opportunity that you found through trial and error, where, your initial thing didn't work or it wasn't as big as you thought it was. And so you had to, stress yourself and pivot the model or your direction of your company until you get another signal, and that one's a little louder this time, and it's like this continual iteration of like a vision that you have, and you just don't find that by like showing up and trying to be like super efficient with your work and like being really smart about like how you spend your time, and like there are so few real visionary founders that are like Elon that have like a 10, 20-year secret master plan. Like it's almost always like, you put yourself in a situation as a founder where you can just like react to the signals that the market is telling you, that the customer is telling you. And, so there's a lot of luck to it. But anyway, it's basically like by working hard, you are throwing a ton of stuff at the wall, and you basically land on, what the real signals actually fall through, and the stuff that was a fake signal or noise or whatever, it just doesn't land. But it's just so you just have to be in a scenario where you are giving every ounce of your energy towards understanding what the customer actually wants. And you can't do that any other way than just, obsessing over it. And so
you think, or from experience, and that's what you wanted to revolve around Brickyard, is bringing these people in and just throwing them all together in the same room and saying like, hey, let's all work together, right? And work hard, right? To do this. Is that your main kind of shtick for Brickyard?
Yeah, I mean, the main theme is just radical focus. We're trying to create an environment where founders can work really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so our take is founders have gotten soft over the last 10 years because venture capital has been so easy to come by.
Sure.
And, diligence has been, investors have gotten lazy. Everybody's gotten lazy, right? And, I say this a lot, but like 10 years ago, if you met a founder, you just felt sorry for them. You're just like, oh man, just keep going. I know, And there was this purity of ethos with founders then that was like, okay, the only reason that you are building this company is because you want to build a big company. But today, it's all, 90% of the time when you talk to a founder, their real intention is something maybe other than building a really big company. It might be, I want Forbes 30 under 30, or I want, the vanity or the status of it. Or,
we talk about it all the time. Yeah.
It's like, and so it's we're attracting a bunch of people that shouldn't be in it in the first place. Like if you want to be a founder and you want to go through hell to find product market fit, you have to be that neurotic type that just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And you're in it with this purity of intention around being a founder of like, I have a problem that I am going to solve no matter what. And so I never thought that, I'd be a VC. My partner, Matt Pat, never thought that he'd be a VC. And we don't even consider ourselves VCs. We just consider ourselves founders, with Brickyard. But basically what we believe is if we can create an environment where we're only attracting the types of founders that are in it for the right reasons, it's, our hit rate on companies is, that's our entire thesis. So like when we talk to a founder for the first time, somebody inbounds or somebody makes an intro, we get on the phone, like for the first 5 minutes, I'm like, look, Brickyard is not for everybody. This is going to be the most intense year of your life where you're going to work harder than you'll ever work for the rest of your life, because that's what it takes to find product market fit. But the silver lining is Brickyard is this deep community of founders where everybody in Brickyard is in your exact same stage. And they're all going through the same exact things that you're going through, and you're going to have real support through people that understand what you're going through. And so we say, this is not for everybody. We don't make sense for everybody. It's, but for the founders that want a place that is just totally removed from the noise and BS of the pop culture, celebrity culture of, startups today, the founders that want to just put their head down and build, like Brickyard is where to do that. And it's purely, the point is radical focus. Burn the ships is our, is our mantra. It's like you're coming to a city that you maybe have never even heard of to work. And, the 17 companies that we've backed from all over the world, 5 international companies, Boston, New York, New Jersey, Austin, Atlanta, San Diego, Portland, San Francisco.
They all move into Chattanooga.
Everybody moves to Chattanooga. It's a minimum 1-year residency.
Dang.
Have you had some people turn it down because they don't want to move?
Oh, sure. Constantly. I mean, I'd say probably half of the people when I give that spiel, like on the front of a call, like I end calls after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Really?
Yeah, because you founders either react one of two ways. They're like leaning in and they're like, yes, like this is exactly what we need to be doing. Or the feeling is like their lifestyle is like threatened and they get like defensive and
they're like, I can't go out at the Soho House pool and like in LA and what's this?
And there are other reasons too. I mean, like a lot of times we love the founders but the founders, it has a family and their kids are in school and it's just like, dude, I just can't move.
Yeah.
And we're just like, I get it.
Yeah.
So there's that too. But anyway, so we kind of immediately separate the wheat from the chaff on like founders that are really serious. I mean, the serious founder is what we are going after. And if you're willing to pick up and relocate to a place that you never thought you'd ever live, where you don't know anybody and it's not known for its like super dense, tech ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's literally just a place that's form built to allow you to work harder than you could work anywhere else.
Well, and talk about the place itself. You make it a really cool space that is very inviting for people to come into.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we bought a building. It was an old Persian rug warehouse, and we sandblasted. It was this 100 years old, and it's got this. It's just absolutely stunning on the inside. And we renovated it into what we wish that we had in the early days. And it's basically a private club only for our portfolio teams. And so the only people in Brickyard are Brickyard companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a co-working space. It's not, there aren't just random people in there. Like everybody in the building knows everybody in the building deeply. And so, I think we have 11 or 12 call boxes. We've got 7 meeting rooms, a large conference room, a private gym, this kind of lounge area, and then guys and girls locker room, showers, steam room, cold plunge, sauna.
Cold plunge.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, we just
In
wanted.
repair.
What'd you say?
I said in repair, right?
Well, it's fixed now.
Oh, it's fixed now.
Yeah, somehow we've managed to
That's like,
break all 3 of those things in
That's
like
what
5
you said.
months.
Yeah.
I mean, they get you. I mean, every single day, those things are just getting hammered because our founders they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
They're there to work, and then when they need a break, they go work out and they go, clean up or get their minds off things. And so it's a really special place that feels like our founders' club, and it is their club. That's the first thing we tell our founders, like, this is your place. And if something is missing here that's keeping you from being able to do your job, tell us and we will fix that. So like my partners and I we're like the janitors of all of our teams. Like, we're just constantly making improvements to like adding like sunshades, like where, sun's like too, stark in one side of the club, or like adding more call boxes or adding more meeting rooms or adding conferencing equipment into more of these things. And it's just like a constant iteration. A big friction point was like housing.
Yeah.
Because all these teams are coming from other places, and it was a pain in the ass to, find an apartment and get a lease and then get furniture and all that. So we bought a 7,000 square foot house that's right next to Brickyard. that we call Brick House. That is it. It was a 7-bedroom house that we added 4 bedrooms into, so it's now 11 bedrooms.
Holy smokes!
It's 4 stories, got a rooftop pool. It's wild.
Yeah.
A rooftop pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's month to month fully furnished housing for our teams, and it's just a place for our teams to initially land.
Yeah.
And a lot of our founders end up staying there, but other founders that want more privacy, whatever, it just gives them a place to like get to Brickyard, and then they can find a longer term lease.
What's like occupancy today?
Well, we just closed on it a month ago, and we just furnished it a week ago. But 8 of the 11 rooms are booked, and it'll be booked up in the next probably month.
Yeah. Well, and what I wanted to mention too about for those listening, I was just down there like 5 days ago, and I walk in, and everyone was super great, but then I talked to you for a while, and then as I had to leave, but you're like, yeah, do you want to sit down and work? And I thought you were going to say, like, come to my office. And you work right with them. You and your founders are in literally, like, it's this huge open space, and you guys work right with them, which I think says something which is crazy to these big dog VCs, think that they need to be on the top level while you guys are right there and with them. And what's behind that? I love that concept.
Well, we just never wanted to be viewed as like the investors, like we write $250K checks into $1 to $3 million rounds. So we're not like a big check for these founders. They don't come to Brickyard because of the money. They're coming to Brickyard because of the community and the implied focus of it. And my partners and I we just consider ourselves founders with them, like we're just thinking about, continuing to source the best founders on the planet and bring the right founders into Brickyard and make sure that the environment is good, and to be, sort of the seasoned operators in the building that are just there on demand, as our founders are going through stuff like negotiating a term sheet or trying to recruit their first engineer or setting up an early org structure, whatever it is. Like that stuff is something like you could, any one of those things, you could spend like 3 or 4 days like doing a SWOT analysis on like how best to do this or that. Or you can just talk to somebody that's done it before and it's like, oh yeah, don't worry. I mean, just use Carta, don't think about it. Like this isn't something that you need to deliberate over. It's like, there are a lot of things that can be solved in like 2 or 3 seconds that first-time founders might spend a lot of time trying to figure out. Or like if you've got a couple term sheets and you're trying to play investors off each other, or like how you play that game. Like we don't want to ever be like kind of to what you're saying. There's no programming at Brickyard. There's no demo day. There's no standing meetings with our teams. There's no like formal engagement between, Brickyard partners and our founders. We're just there every day.
Yeah.
And it's just a high trust environment where if a founder is going through something, they just pop over and sit down with us and, just have a conversation about, whatever they're going through.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just wanted to be in the middle of it.
Just in the grind and all of it. Well, that's what I saw, and I was like, dang, this is really cool. Like, because you don't see that ever. Like, I feel like
you do not.
Yeah. So, well, and let's talk about the way you started funding Brickyard, and I think you told me it was all up to your last company, right? That was personal investments, right? And then you went out and actually started creating a fund, right?
Yep.
How was that? That first, was it 11 or
so we
16?
backed 16 companies.
16.
We didn't know if this was going to work.
Yeah,
I mean, like
that's what I was wondering.
Telling founders that they had to move to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and do it. We just didn't know if it was going to work. And especially, in the beginning, we didn't have the building. We were like selling a vision to these founders of like, we're building this super tight community of in real life founders that are like spending a minimum of a year together. in this residency, like none of that made any sense, like to these founders. And so, when we were thinking about how to pitch it, it was very clear, like, okay, we can't raise money for this because we don't even know if we're going to get top founders to be interested in it.
Yeah.
And so we self-funded the first 16 companies. We put together what we call our pilot fund, which is $3.25 million. And we just started talking to teams. And then, in about a year and a few months, we had made 16 investments in companies all over the world. And these are, a third of the teams are YC teams. So not that that's like the greatest signal, but it's, it just shows like we're getting top founders that, are, regarded by other institutions as being legit, right? But after like our 6th or 7th investment that we made, it was clear, like, okay, we're pushing a rock down a hill.
Yeah.
Like when a founder understands what's happening at Brickyard, and they kind of fit that profile of like the founder that's super serious, that just needs to put their head down and go. It's like it was just clear, like we struck a chord with a specific type of founder that it was exactly what we intended. And so we started, thinking about raising our first fund to follow up the pilot fund with, and we ended up raising $18 million in 5 weeks because it's just such a
nuts.
When you walk in a Brickyard, it's so palpable what's happening that I think it just really resonated with LPs, and we just knocked it out super quick. Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, 18 million in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Was it mainly, who did you go out and reach out to? Was it high net worth, just people and said like, hey, come in with what we're doing, right?
Yeah. We wanted to raise it completely from local LPs because
really,
we didn't want to pitch big institutional pensions or whatever. We wanted to start this from kind of homegrown roots of let's engage the people that are going to bear hug these founders. And those people are in Chattanooga. They're operators. They're the city leaders that have a vested interest in their success. So we did it. We didn't take a single dollar from an LP outside of Chattanooga.
That's amazing.
All the major foundations, kicked in, but this is crazy. In 5 weeks, we had 72 LP meetings, pitch meetings, and we have 65 LPs.
Holy shit.
So almost,
oh my God.
That's a good attach rate.
Yep. And, 90% of our LPs are operators. And so we just, we have kind of this higher purpose of, improving odds for our teams, and what we believe improves odds to help teams get to product market fit is just radical focus and insulation. I mean, Brickyard is just an insulator. That's all it is. So, it's like a post-raise, pre-product market fit residency where it's like, okay, I've raised capital. It's not about raising money. It's not like there are plenty of accelerators that can get founders to their first raise. But the hardest part about building a company is like after a raise where you've got that, that responsibility, but before product market fit, where, your rudder as a company is still like really small. And it's the most highly volatile times where co-founder dynamics break down. It's where people just don't think they can hack it and they go crazy.
Yeah.
It's like that's the time period where you can bear hug founders and surround them with other founders that they genuinely know, and they're not just, it's not just like a super shallow community online. It's like these founders, you can stay up till midnight talking about issues with each other. The whole purpose of it is to get founders to product market fit.
Yeah. Where do you see Brickyard in the next 5-10 years from now? I mean, do you see another fund? Do you see do you have a vision with Brickyard?
Yeah, we're going to raise a new fund every 3 or 3.5 years.
Okay.
And we haven't decided if we want to continue it to, or to keep the fund sizes around the same size. I think, with this first one at 18, we may go up to 20 with this one. We basically have stopped taking meetings, but we've got a bunch of people that still want to get in. So we may go up to 20 with this one, but the next fund is either going to be 25, or we may go say, you know what, let's go raise 40 or 50 and just write bigger checks into these companies and have a bigger, role in the early days of like really backing and supporting these teams. We just don't know what we're going to do there yet, because the one limiting factor is physical space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All these teams have to be in person. And so we think we can have about 25 teams in Brickyard at a time. The future is definitely, we're going to expand the club, add some more space, but I don't think we're ever going to break probably 30 teams at a time. Like we want to keep it really small, intimate, and I think the fund sizes may get bigger and check sizes might get bigger, but the size of the community is going to pretty much stay the same.
Yeah, and have you had? I mean, this seems like a no issue like type of fundraising and everything like that. Have you ran into any obstacles within fundraising or starting this, VC firm or anything to date, or has it just been you've been kind of blessed with the opportunity, right?
Well, my partners and I we've known each other for so long. There's so much just mutual trust in the partnership that it's been a really easy build. It's been the easiest thing that we've ever built.
Really?
In any of us. I mean, it's just, there's so much kind of synergy between the partners. We know we all kind of have the exact same vision for what Brickyard is. There's certainly been like hiccups with construction and this stuff. And we've, lost deals that we wish that we'd gotten, just all the typical stuff. But, for the most part, it's been like pushing a rock down a hill.
Yeah. But you've had a vision and a really good investment thesis and ran with it. And people seem to love that.
Yeah.
And where, after Brickyard, you're going to go out and raise these funds and whatnot. How do you see expanding out into any other types of companies, or just mainly the super, super early stages? And
we care, the stage that makes my partners and I come alive is pre-product market fit.
Mm-hmm.
That's just such a wild time. Like it's electric. Every day feels like, it can kill you, but the highs are also so high. It's just such a special magic time. It's like the most fun you never want to have again as a founder.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, where we think that we can have the biggest impact on helping these founders kind of code their business in the right way, like from a cultural standpoint of, and from a leadership standpoint, like building those co-founder dynamics right, setting up, a structure of, just a healthy co-founder dynamics, like one of the big things we focus on. So we really push, we have a psychologist that our teams, can work with. They want to. That was a really, close one to us. We understand how difficult it can be on those dynamics, and then outside of that, like all those tactical decisions that you can save so much time on in those early days. Like we know how to help companies then. So our point will always be, pre-product market fit, improving odds to get a company to product market fit, and to get these companies out of Brickyard. The point is to get out. Right?
Gotcha.
It's to get to the point where you're scaling and we kick you out. We basically, there's no limit on how long you can stay at Brickyard, but we reserve the right to kick you out at any time. So we're about to have to kick a couple of our teams out now because, we backed them at 2 employees or 2 founders, and now they're 20 employees. And,
wow.
You can't bring them all into Brickyard, right? The 20 employees.
One of our teams has basically 20 employees in Brickyard.
It's like you need to rent some office space.
Yeah, exactly.
Better get your own.
And don't you guys have a unique fund structure? Do founders get a piece of carry?
Yeah, yes,
Oh,
we do.
wow.
I don't know of any other fund who does that.
Yep, yeah, that was really important to us. We always, in the early days of Lamppost, we wished that we could have ownership in each other's companies because we knew how hard we were all working,
Wow.
and we knew we were all going to win. Like
Mhm.
that was kind of like our mindset, and there was just no easy way to do it back then.
Yeah.
And so it was something that we always kind of like dreamed about. You know, how cool would it be if you could just trade equity with all the people that you were working around every day? And basically the way we figured that out was when we formed Fund One, we carved off 1/10 of our carried interest for the GP, and we are granting it to our founders that spend a year in Brickyard. And
What?
so every founder that goes through the full residency and contributes to the community by just being there for a year has ownership in the whole fund, and we're going to continue to do that.
Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't.
It's just very different from other venture capitalists.
Yeah, that's like this is
I won't go into it too much, but it's different in a very positive way, but
Very
definitely
good.
different.
Well, yeah, you see my reaction. I'm like, what is this been? Has this been done before? Is this like?
I don't think
new?
it's ever been done. No, and it's never been done. Not that we have ever, heard of. But it was important to us, in order to build a community, you have to like have that like shared trust, but also like have that, a shared upside is just so important, and founders can help each other so much in the early days. If you just make every founder an owner in each other, like all the incentives are aligned for everybody to, to go out of their way to, to help their brothers and sisters in Brickyard, right? It's just, so that was a very important dynamic that we wanted to pull off. And it was actually super easy to do. I mean, it's literally just very easy to do.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to have to create a bunch of, new legal documents and spend a bunch of money on legal stuff. And it's as easy as, okay, we're going to carve off 1/10 of our carry, and we're going to give a unit of that carry to every founder that, that spends a year in Brickyard.
I love that. That's crazy because that just provides them so much more incentive, like you said, to work hard and help everyone around them.
Yep.
That's crazy. I mean, wow. So good question. Do you have anything else? I mean,
No, this has been so great, Cam.
About
I'm
Brickyard?
so glad I met you.
Yeah.
I'm glad we all met.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah. Zap's the power connector, and I was headed down there, and she's like, "You gotta stop," and I was like,
really, I just was so drawn to you because there was 2 events happening that night. One event for everyone, and one event that was pretty much VCs only. And when I went to the one for everyone, I was shocked that there was no investors there. There was you and one other guy. That was literally it. And I saw pretty much everyone that night. There was 2 other VCs.
I would much rather hang out with founders than investors.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I just felt bad.
Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't stay there anymore because all these founders I knew kept coming up to me being like, what investors can I talk to? And I was like, oh my God, I like literally can't be the bearer of bad news right now. I feel guilty. But yeah, thanks for coming on. We're glad we
I know.
got you in Nashville.
Yeah,
for a
how do we stay in touch with Brickyard and let people know about it and take a look? I know it's private, but I mean the exposure is great.
Well, so our website is justleybrick.com, and it's kind of cryptic, but we want it that way.
Yeah.
So you can find us there, and that's how founders can apply. We have an email that is sort of a catch-all. The way that we like to meet founders is through an intro from one of our portfolio teams. We really like to involve our portfolio companies in the beginning. And so, any referrals that come from our founders, that's an automatic way to get a meeting with us. And then on Twitter, I'm at Cam Doody.
Twitter.
I'm not very active on Twitter, and
You won't reply.
I get triggered sometimes, and I go on rants, and but no, just reach out. LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. Cam Doody, like Howdy Doody.
Howdy Doody.
Or if you're coming through Chattanooga and you just want to see Brickyard, we bring folks by all the time that just want to get to feel what we're building.
It's amazing. Yeah, I can attest to it all. It was crazy, Zep. You got to go one time. So
I know.
Yeah, we'll have to do a part 2 and come down and shoot it like we originally planned down there.
Totally.
And see where you're at next year and then go from there. But
yeah, y'all should do one with our founders and get their take on like how what Brickyard has meant to them.
That'd be great. Yeah. Well, yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll figure that out. But thanks again, Cam, and we look forward to following all the great things that you're doing. And we'll have you on again soon. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
That was.